Overall, veteran unemployment numbers have been shrinking for the past few years, but for the younger vets, that's not the case.
Like, why did I survive the wounds that I survived just to come home and not know what I'm doing?
The unemployment rate for post-9/11 veterans is higher than the rest of the population.
After everything they have done for us, the idea that any of our veterans are spending months or even years struggling to find a job is unacceptable.
And the crux of the matter is, regardless of what the true numbers are, our veterans are not getting the kind of jobs that they deserve and that they need.
From the last sentence of his first inaugural address memorializing Martin Treptow of Cherokee, Iowa, to his farewell address 8 years later, Ronald Reagan never wavered in his quest to build our all-volunteer force on the image and societal potential of the American citizen soldier. America's current generation of politicians pave our way to war by characterizing us as an exceptional nation, but all of them forget the truly exceptional service and capabilities of our veteran citizen soldiers. To them, our veterans are collateral damage. But in small communities across the country, the people remember their sacrifice and long for their rightful return to our communities as national assets. One such community is the iconic village of Wellington in northeastern Ohio. Wellington is a lot like many rural communities throughout the country. It takes care of its people and handles its own issues.
Wellington is a village right now of about 4,800 people.
And still pretty much a rural town.
People here are kind of laid back, and it's a farm community, which means they're close to the earth, which means in all things their feet are on the ground.
Small town in Ohio where people care about each other. I think that that's the most important thing about, living in a small town is the community.
And we're a historical village, and we like to maintain the historical look of the downtown area.
We're proud of the fact that the artist that did the Spirit of 76, Archibald Willard, was in Wellington, and he's actually buried in our cemetery.
It's considered the most recognizable piece of American art anywhere in the United States.
One of the key purposes you can see in the Spirit of 76 is the idea of sacrificing and giving up for future generations and giving back to others. If you look at the people who Archibald painted in the famous painting, they're all people who in some way represent a little piece of all of us.
In Wellington and across America, citizens understand the waste of unemployment and the underutilization of veterans returning from Afghanistan and Iraq.
It's not like it was for the World War II generation or even the Korean or Vietnam soldiers. There was work.
You could go work at Ford and make a good living with not a whole lot of skills. We don't live in that world anymore.
It was kind of a shock. I didn't expect to come back and immediately be hired by some giant company and be the top fish on the market, but at the same time going to a gas station just trying to start humbly and being refused, it was really kind of a hit.
It was a promise made, a sacred promise, by another generation of politicians, and I'm afraid that my observation now is that the ones holding office now don't take that as serious and to heart as I wish that they would.
It seems like the only jobs that they can really get into is law enforcement or security, and those are the places that are really welcome, like the ones that really pull people in.
I know we have a police officer that served in Iraq, a fine young gentleman. He's doing a fine job for the village of Wellington, and we're very proud of the fact he's on our police force.
I finished my police training in June of 2013, and I got a couple part-time jobs as a park ranger, and then a couple as part-time police department jobs, and then I got a part-time job here and eventually full-time here.
But you've got to have something for everybody, so everyone will fit in, so they'll be able to live a useful life, a constructive life.
But people do have skills. They do want to work.
Yeah, I tried to get hired in at a gas station just to stop and go. And they were basically talking down to me. They said, well, the Marine Corps is all you've done. You don't have any other skills or work things there. And they said, well, we don't think the Marine Corps has marketable skills with the stop and go or you know, service. And I was a combat camera chief, you know, and that's what I did. I organized job orders. I was in charge of millions of dollars worth of equipment, but yet they couldn't trust me with the change drawer.
I know when I was in the service, if you left a job, you were eligible to come back to it. Well, I'm not sure that the jobs are there anymore for them to come back to.
I'd be willing to bet that I've probably put in 60 to 70 job applications, and I've gotten 0 callbacks.
How is it that a single mother can be in the military, wearing a uniform today, and file bankruptcy more than once in their career? My job specifically was in logistics. It was traffic management officer, moving people and their things, freight, cargo, moving trucks, moving supplies. If an employer would give any veteran, especially a woman, especially a mom, 5 seconds of their time, he or she will give them 210% better than any other employee they will ever have on their payroll.
I think they feel let down. I think they were asked to serve. They did. They were promised things, and now those things aren't there.
I think the main reason that it really makes people give up or stop trying is because they think it doesn't matter. And like I said earlier, they went out and gladly gave of themselves to the government and to a cause, and then just were dropped.
And I'm sure there are some guys that have some real struggles. You know, I'm aware of that, but I think a lot of guys just need that structure, and they have a lack of it right now.
I don't think people are as engaged into what was actually going on or the wars themselves like they were before. They just think that everybody's gone over to the sandbox and that's it, you know, and this is just not the case.
Veterans are returning from the conflicts in the Middle East and elsewhere are not finding the opportunity to contribute to building the nation they fought for and good jobs that can support their families. Do we have the imagination to create opportunities to use their leadership and skills to help them and our nation as President Reagan envisioned?
So I think a big piece of it is transitioning the purpose and the real fulfillment and the idea that I'm something, I'm somebody, and this is really important to the civilian world.
We owe it to them because don't everybody go. Some people go and fight for the country and some stay here.
Your costs aren't just winning the war, and they're not just winning the peace, they're also winning the war and the peace for the civilian or citizen soldier. And that's a cost where you're going to take care of somebody and their commitment, not just paying them a paycheck for the 4 or 5 or 6 or 20-year commitment, whatever it is, but as a person who benefited from their umbrella of protection, that's part of the cost of maintaining that service.
When switching into the civilian world, I think it is difficult for a lot of veterans to find. Even myself, it's kind of hard to find that realm where you can do as much as you can. The best thing I went into the Marine Corps looking at is as long as I do everything every day the best I can and go as far with it and as true as I can, I'll never look back and regret any time I spent. And transferring into the civilian world, it's really hard to find arenas where you can actually apply that same kind of mentality and do the most and affect the most people you can and do the best you can. It's a little hard.
The politicians that put them in the position that of being in war, they need to see everything, the whole details of what these young men and women are going through and what their families are going through.
Many of them have to be retrained for something new. And there aren't as many jobs now as what it used to be. And I feel myself that a veteran, if he goes off to fight for his country and for the people, and when he comes back, he should be offered something comparable to what he left.
But hold people accountable, starting with elected officials in this election in 2016.
There's so much that needs to be done in little towns that certainly employing veterans would be a really good thing.
Engagement of our veterans on the local level is a necessity. Our economically stressed small cities, towns, and villages require the nation-building skills of our military members as much as the people of the Middle East. They can contribute to our communities through support for infrastructure renewal, leadership for young people who need structure in their lives, and development of sustainable security.
It makes me feel good to get out and talk to the people of the community and be a part of the community, really. I only grew up 10 miles away, so it's nice to be back home and be involved in Lorain County.
We need more human involvement on the local level, not on the larger level. The solution is local and state government.
In the village here, we have an electric department, and some of those people could take a course in electricity. We have a street department where people run equipment, tractors and front-end loaders, and it's something that's useful that they can, be proud of, and see that they're doing a service for the village and the country.
Another thing you can do is have projects that involve veterans. Let's say doing research in a cemetery with a veteran, and that way you sort of buy into that. A piece of you is now part of the community, and a piece of you is now part of being with the veteran, and a relationship develops between the community and the veteran.
We would encourage more veterans, if they wanted to be policemen here, we would encourage them to apply for a job, because we do like to hire veterans when possible.
It's a sacred promise that was made, and it's a trust that was put in us. And we fail as a people when we don't complete that.
Change is possible, but we, the people, in the spirit of America, must demand change from our elected officials. And the way to compel change is to challenge the people running for office in 2016 to say how they will remember and realize the societal value of our veteran citizen soldiers. Wellington remembers,